I'm just a regular guy playing board games at my neighbor's house. Regular guy who moved into the
Are
neighborhood.
are you positive that you're just a regular guy?
Of course, I'm a regular guy. Didn't you hear my song? Just a regular guy, not a werewolf.
Silver is a game where we are trying to sniff out werewolves that have moved into our village. That's basically the theme of the game. Mechanically, the way how it works is we're trying to get as many points out of our tableau of cards in front of us. So the theme of werewolves are moving in, we need to figure out which ones are which, is why we put cards face down in front of us. So we have 5 cards going face down in front of us. This is a big part of setup. These 5 cards came from this draw pile here, which I shuffled previous to starting my recording. Another final piece of setup that I get to do, and everyone's going to have 5 cards face down in front of them. So you're just seeing one player's player area here. I'm going to get a peek at 2 cards. So I normally would have done that really secretively so other players can't see. But for you guys, for the sake of this demonstration, I wanted to make sure you guys were able to see that these 2 cards are what they are. I have a 10 and a 4. That's the big number value that I really care about. This card, when I get it face up, this symbol means it does something when it's face up. This card means if I drew this from the draw pile and discarded it, then I would have gotten a benefit from it. Real quick, let's take a look at this player guide. The top sign there indicates that something happens while a card is face up in your village. The middle sign means that when you draw the card and then place it into the discarded pile, that happens. And then this bottom ability you don't see nearly as often as the other two, but it's the I am gonna get rid of a card from my village, and it's gonna go into the discard pile. So like when it dies off, basically, or it goes into the discard pile. So here we have a game set up for 2 players. Just kind of for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna just go through real quickly what this looks like. Remember, I have the 4 and the 10 here. I do know that at this point in the game, I have no idea what any of their cards are. They know what 2 of them are. I don't know what these cards are. So how does this unfold? Well, on my turn, I have 3 choices. 1, take a card from here. 2, take this card and put it into my tableau and then discard face up whatever card I replaced. Or 3, do a call and say, I want to end the game. You get 1 more turn, then we're going to score it. If I have the lowest points, I get 0 points. So those are my 3 choices right now. There's a little more to it than that, though, because when I go to discard cards from here, I can discard matches of cards. I don't have to discard just one. If I think I've got a few 4s in there or 5s or whatever, I can discard pairs of them. So I can get less than 5 cards in front of me, which is really important. So I know I have the 4 here and the 10 here. I don't care for a 5 because a 5 is a sure thing. It could get me 5 less points if I switched out that 10 over there. And that 10 does me no good right now because basically, in essence, if I discard that card from there, it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't have the symbol where it's going to help me there. This card will help me, though. If it's face up in my village, then I'm going to end up getting a really nice benefit of being able to look at 2 cards every time I draw from there, not just 1. So this card right here says turn one of your cards face up. That'd be awesome if I could do that, but the problem is I can't. Since that's in the discard pile, the only value that card has is if I swap it into my village, I just keep it face up and the number value is what I get. Okay? So I don't get to do that value. If I had drawn it from here, I would get it. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a card. And let's take a look at what that card is. Oh, man, a villager. So this is going to be something that I'm going to keep secret because if I swap out this card, when I do a swap from here, I do it face down, okay? So, man, I know that 10's terrible and I want to get rid of it, but people know that I know it. So, oh, boy. What do I want to do? These could be worse than a 10, but a 10's pretty bad. So let's go ahead and do this. Face down. That one's going to go face up into the discard pile then. So now they have a choice. If they wanted that 10, they could have it. That 10's not a good card to pull out of there, though. But they would take a card. They would do something. And let's just say over the course of the game, they're going to somehow be able to flip a card over. So they have a 10 there. Oh, maybe they would take that 10. because they know that's a 10. So maybe they would do that. Maybe they would take that 10 and put it there. So now they've got a pair of 10s. So that kind of makes sense for them to have a pair of 10s there, because they're going to try and discard those as a pair later in the game. So this is what I would draw. I draw the Seer. Okay, so this card, I don't want to put in there. It's got a 9 value on it. But if I look at the value of the card down here below, view any one card. So that's going to be in my village or their village. I think I need to know what's going on in my village first. So I'm going to look at this card. Ooh, a bodyguard. I need that card to be flipped because I've got that 0 down there. I want to protect that 0. So bodyguards protect cards from being stolen or discarded. And a 3 and a 0 is a pretty good thing. I keep going. Ooh, a 2. When face up, view one of your cards face down on your turn. So I think I want that. So we have a 4, which is good. I want to get that face up. A 0, which I want to keep. And then this is a bodyguard, right? Yeah, bodyguard. So I couldn't look at that again. I just was being forgetful. So I would probably swap this one out for that. Oh, look at that. Well, okay, no harm. Now I know this is a 2, though. And that 2's out there. So the only problem with that is that 2 is a really good card. And since it's in the discard pile, and it has an in the village ability on it, I just messed up because now they can do this. They can swap that card out for this card. But they kind of screwed up now too, because check this out. I know this one's a 4, so I can swap this card out for that one. And again, it goes face up into my village. Hers is face up, so she's just going to peek at this card. Oh man, she knows that's a 2 now. She does her turn. I do my turn. I know that's a 4 as well now. And I got to look at 2 cards when I do this. So I'm going to pull 2 cards from here. Oh man, look at that. That is awesome. I really, really, really want that villager because I just want no points. So the Squire is really good though, but I've got to put one back on the discard pile. She's going to get that Squire. She's going to know, man, he had something excellent if he put a Squire back. So she's probably going to know that that's a villager. But what I'm going to do is this. I have to switch it out, right? And I do it face down. But this is where I kind of say, I'm going to switch these 2 out. I have to push them out before I flip them. Then I flip them over. If they match, they both go in there. And now I've got the villager there in its place. And that was from there, so it's going to be face down. So now I've got a bodyguard, a villager, and a villager. I have no idea what this card is yet. This is where the tension happens. Because do I want to just call the game knowing I only have 3 points in these 3 cards? And that could be a 12, it could be a 13. Or do I just try and get a chance to see that real quick before I do anything else? I'm thinking I'm going to call because I just want to make the game over with. She has her turn. She pulls the 1. So obviously she's going to switch these 2 10s out for that 1, 1. So now I see she's got 3 points up. I've got 3 points face down that I know of, plus a mystery card. She's got 2 cards. So I'm gonna say call. She gets one more turn, flips over a card. Ooh, a bodyguard. Let's just say that she knew that one was oh yeah. Yeah, she's doing really well. She probably would just swap out that one. Actually, she'd probably just discard this bodyguard, to be honest with you. And then we're both going to score our cards. So I flip these over, and I know I have 3, right? She has a really good score. She's got a 6. So it all comes down to this card. If this card's bigger than a 3, I'm really goofed. Oh, man, I got really lucky. And I kind of maybe in my gut knew that. So 5 versus 6, I have 1 point less than her. So I get 0 points. She gets 6 points. We move on to the next round. We introduce the silver amulet. This is the silver amulet. It's going to be placed on this side of the table because I get to use that next round. And that's going to protect a card for me. So in silver, the base game, that's what the little trinket is in there. And what it does, we put all the cards together. We shuffle these up. I'm up 0 to 6. We play 3 more rounds. Whoever has the least points after 3 rounds is the winner. Pretty exciting most of the time. Right now, I just would love to just take a second here to look at some more interesting cards here. Here's an example of a card that's kind of interesting and changes the game a little bit. The Apprentice. The Apprentice is one that it lets you look at an opponent's card. So sometimes you know what an opponent's card is, and they don't. And that's really fun. That's where this game starts to feel a little bit like Masquerade, or like maybe some of those games like Werewolf, kind of, where you know what's going on and other people don't. This is a card that's an ongoing ability, and this is really powerful too. It's a number 2, so it's a really low value card. People are going to want to try and steal this. This is where you can use a bodyguard. When face up, one of your face down cards view one of your face down cards. So this one's not turn them over. This is just getting to see your cards, which is still really valuable. The seer, this guy's a higher value, but he lets you look at any card. So you can look at any card at all, including your opponent's cards. So that's kind of neat. Again, you get the chance to view other people's cards. Some cards just have really good values when you pull them out of the pile. So this 5, it's unlikely you would probably put this one in your village, unless you had like some 12s. But this one just lets you, when you discard it, look at one of your cards, flip it over face up. Finally, the last card I want to take a look at is this 0. This is the Villager. The Villager's worth no points. He's great in that regard, but the game can be triggered to end with the Villager. He basically, if there's a second Villager face up in the game's end, and instantly, not finish the round out. So the Villager's kind of a timer. So if people see a Villager face up, you start really hustling to try and shed those points quick. And Villagers are really fun because if you can find one face down, I like to try and keep them face down because, I mean, like that 0 point card there, people are doing math on trying to figure out what I have, and they probably assume that I have, at least a 3 or 4 there. Probably 5 even. So they're thinking, this guy's got 9 points. I only have 4. So it might be a good bluffing mechanism too to keep it face down. There's just a lot of gameplay in this that really comes to light as you're playing it over a few rounds. So that's a look at Silver. It's a cool game from Ted Alspach, who loves to make werewolf games. And this one is probably my favorite of his. It reminds me, he has some card games too. It's just, if you had to tell me who made this game, or make me guess who made this game, I could probably figure it out with the werewolves and then the interesting card play. And it's just, it just says Ted Alspach. I mean, it's a cool game though, really cool game. And I think this might be my favorite game from Ted Alspach and Bezier Games. And I'm spoiling this review like big time, but I'm going to tell you why I love this game so much, I guess, right now. The highlights of this, the art and the clean design, really, they pop. The art on this, they didn't spare expense on this. It's a beautiful game. It just looks great. Every piece of art on every one of these cards is just nicely done. There were no corners cut on it. I had just a prototype that you were looking at there. The card quality in that was really nice too. So I imagine usually prototypes aren't nicer than the final product. So I imagine there's going to be a nice final product in this. The family appeal and theme, like complexity, kind of all go together. Like this is pretty abstracted. There's not gory like we're hanging werewolves or anything like that. It's totally just kind of abstracted, and the art and the characters are real cute. The witches are like cartoony and cute. I mean, so I think anybody can play this game. It's got that family feel. And then this is one that my wife is not really particularly a gamer. She really likes Silver. She is a fan of this game, I would say. I asked her to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And for her to rate a game at an 8 out of 10 is unheard of. Like, so that's a phenomenal game for her. So she really likes it. It's going to have broad appeal to a lot of people. I personally like it because it brings that hidden identity type thing to like a smaller game. So like it feels like there's times where it's like in that game Masquerade, if you've ever played that, you know what other people's cards are and they may not even know their own cards. That happens in this game sometimes. You know your cards and you're kind of trying to bluff to feel like I really want to protect this card, so don't swap it, but it's a 13. You know what I mean? Or something like that. 13 is a bad example, a 12. So I mean, like, there's just a lot of really cool things going on with like keeping information secret, trying to deduce things from what you do know, trying to figure out ways to get your cards to flip more, get an engine building going on, or an engine built so you can kind of get things to happen for you quicker. Just a lot of cool things going on here in a smaller game. The quick playtime is really great too. This is in that filler category on the higher end time-wise than maybe what I'd like to play as a filler, but a really excellent game for sure for like into the night kind of gaming, or like beginning of the game day kind of gaming, because this is just 35-40 minutes maybe. You're gonna have gotten this game played. The other thing too is if you wanted to play a shorter version, there's no reason you couldn't. I mean, you could play just 2 rounds if you only had 20 minutes. So it's just a really fun little game to get out, and it's different. It's really different than anything else out there. So that's really some of the high points on this. The last thing I'm going to mention, if you want to hear more about this game, I actually did an interview with the designer on the podcast that released on about like let's say on July 20th, 2019. If you go to the link in the description, you can find our podcast and find that episode. He and I just talked about the future of this game. Maybe you're in the future and this has all happened, but at this time, this is all kind of news. They have 110 card sets ready to go, and they're playtesting like six of these games at once right now. And so there's going to be more of these coming out. It's going to be expandable. It's going to probably be pretty inexpensive. I think once you get the initial thing, I only have a prototype, so I can't show you this, but there's going to be game trays in there where you can sort your cards out, and then there's going to be like kind of like a guide for what card sets you can put together, but there's going to be a bunch of combinations that you can get. So the replayability on this is going to be really high, and it's going to be expandable. So you aren't going to get tired of the card sets, and different card sets just going together really makes things interesting. And I think even beyond that, I think you could just have the same number of it's really customizable because you could have the same number of 12s, but you could have 2 different 12s in there. You know what I mean? You just have to follow a certain guide for having the right numbers of cards in there. And then I think they're going to also, just like I said, have a chart for which cards synergize well and which ones don't, which ones could kind of be game breaking. So let's get down to the ratings here on this and break it down. The accessibility in this game, I'm going to give to almost anybody can play this. If you can read the cards, you probably can play the game, is where I'm going to put this one at. So reading is going to be the barrier on this one. But there is a little bit of nuance to it to try and figure out and remember where cards are at and things like that. So maybe a little older than that, maybe a 10-year-old would be a good age for this game. But pretty young, I think, overall could play this game. The theme, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with this. It'd be really hard to find someone who had a hard time with this game because it's so abstracted. You're not actually slaughtering werewolves, or werewolves aren't eating people in this game or anything like that. It's very much abstracted, very adorable little art. There's probably someone out there who might have an objection to it, but it'd be hard to find them. The fun in this game, I'm giving a 5 out of 5. I always have a blast playing this game. It's really fun. It's different and unique, and I'm ready to play it again. If you told me asked me what game I want to play right now, if I had a free pass with my game group and they said it's your birthday or something, and we're going to play whatever game you want to play, I would say, let's play Silver. Because that's the game I want to play right now. It's just in my head. I really enjoy it. It's super quick and just a lot of fun. And I'm enjoying just seeing different things happen in the game. The replayability, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 right now, but this is certainly going to become a 5 out of 5. And I'm just saying 4 out of 5 because of just this one base set. So as more sets are coming out, that rating would certainly get higher. I already have Silver Bullet to switch some things up with. There's going to be a review coming up for that real soon. But this is just looking at Silver. The replayability is about a 4 out of 5 because different cards come out in different games, but they are the same cards. This will definitely get to a 5 out of 5, though, as 110 different cards are going to be available eventually. So that will be a 5 out of 5. Just at its current state, it's only a 4 out of 5. The design and the art on this is a 5 out of 5. I mean, the design of the cards makes all the sense in the world. The player aids help. The art is amongst my favorite art in a game. Just that nice, almost looks like a Pixar kind of thing almost for the art. Really nice art and renowned artists. So, I mean, just really a good job on the art on this and the design. So those are high ratings, right? Just to give a frame of reference, I've given one game a 5 out of 5 ever in all these videos, and I think I've done 40 reviews on here. 4 out of 5s are not super common. 4.5 out of 5s are a little rarer yet. So where's this one going to land at? Well, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5. This is the second game I've ever given a 5 out of 5 out of. And I'm going to put this caveat on it. It's a 5 out of 5 perfect filler game. This game is, seriously, it's the perfect filler game. Perfect 2-player, 4-player game. At all player counts, it's a lot of fun. But this is just the perfect game for what it is. To just be able to get out with a bunch of different groups, play it quickly, not have a lot of setup time. It just, the whole package is just, the game is perfect to me. It's a 5 out of 5 game. So what does that mean to you? That means that I think that, honest to goodness, everybody should have access to this game that's considering themselves a gamer. I think it's for everybody, or at least 95% of people. There's going to be people who don't like this game. They don't like the secret mechanic. They don't like the luck of drawing cards. And don't get it if you know you're that guy. But otherwise, if you think this game looks good to you, it plays and feels so much more fun than it can look on a video. I'm just going to say that right now. So 5 out of 5, perfect game. Love it so much. And it comes out at Gencon or around Gencon time. So look for this in August. And then Silver Bullet coming out around Essen time. So the video for a Silver Bullet will be out in a couple weeks maybe. I'm going to get some more time with that one yet before I do the video on it. But have loved this game. And if you've loved this review, please maybe think about giving it a thumb. Maybe think about subscribing to us. If you want to hear more on the podcast or hear more of me, then check out down below here. There's some links to our podcast where we do a lot more discussion like this. If you've got a long car drive, or if you've got, you shouldn't be watching videos on a car drive. So go with the podcast, right? And so at any rate, all that available down below at the links. Plus, Jason, my co-host on the podcast, he does a bunch of videos. We just broke 300 videos on this channel. So some of those are really short videos. Some of those are just our audio of our podcast that's been on this channel. But a lot of those are board game reviews. We work really hard on trying to get you guys a lot of content. So give us a subscribe. Maybe even hit the bell so you guys can know when we put something up. It's been like a video a day or even two this summer. So we're really, really developing something that I think is cool. So thanks for watching. I've been Joel, and keep gaming.